It's Friday. How did you do in the spot market this morning? We'll talk about it right after this. Good morning. I'm really loud in my headphones today. I don't know. I wonder if there's a short in the wire. But good morning. It's Friday, November 10th. Yesterday was a brutal day. I'll tell you. Um, it was interesting seeing what the market was doing. I had trucks all over, helping people look all over, and it's interesting seeing what the market's doing. Plus, I can look at Samsara and see where all of our drivers are at, and and I get phone calls from the ones that are, dealing with some stuff, and it's hearing everybody's victories and defeats is really beneficial to um, what I deal with. So, anyways, I'm sorry I'm distracted. I'm trying to fix this live stream here. So, good morning. Hope all is well. It is Friday. Hope you've got a good weekend planned, whether that be at home or on the road making some profit, or at least just paying the bills, man. Just paying the bills, which is what a lot of people are doing right now. So, um, what I noticed is that volumes were really, really low. Let me see if I can bring this up here. Um, they were lower than normal, and it might have been because it was later in the day. But um, I do promote the 123 low board, but I use other low boards as well. And one of the best tools I like using is the load ratio map, or well, it's not really a map; it's more of a chart on the DAT board because it kind of gives me an idea of inbound, outbound. Between that and the 123, it gives me a good temperature of what's going on and what I'm going to deal with. Let's see. Okay, Ohio's back to normal. Yesterday it was not looking good. Texas is back to normal. Normal in the sense that, so it must have been just late in the day. So, um, but anyways, let me get the 123 up here as well. I really don't have any words of wisdom or I know wisdom. That's or encouragement today. I'm just gonna basically report the news. Just kind of keep an eye on things. So, um, So this might be a short video because I don't feel inspired. So I have been thinking about selling my trailer. So there's that. I'd rather have the cash than see if I can lease it out. If the driver underneath it isn't able to come back. So I don't think I could be a trailer lease guy right now. So I would if the driver stays here, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So anyways, other than that, it's been an interesting week trying to broker this one load out. And I'm going to tell you something. If you guys could hear your competition, if you guys can see how your competition works, man, nope, nothing can stop you. Here's my words of encouragement. Speak clear, polite sentences. Have a professional look and sound. Know your numbers. And you will be 90% ahead of everybody else that's taking your freight, that is taking the stuff lower than you want to take it. It's as simple as that. I don't know how many more times I can say that. And trying to broker a load, you just see how bad it is with the carriers. This is why the brokers don't respect you. This is why they don't like you. This is why they don't care about your fuel costs. They don't care about your expenses. They don't care about your costs. Because you can't even be polite and non-confrontational when you're negotiating a rate, when you're negotiating with the sole person that is responsible for paying you. That's what you signed up when you joined the spot market. This is what you do. And if you're living off the click and goes, guess what? All the click and goes are struggling right now. All the click and goes, let me repeat that. All the click and goes, with the exception of JB Hunt, are struggling right now. And anybody who's been paying attention to what JB Hunt's been doing, they want to eliminate you too. Their job is to get the cost down for the customers, and they're going to go full force on this intermodal thing. They created the intermodal thing. And as more companies get on board with that, I was talking to one of my normal brokers yesterday. I was trying to negotiate on a load. Yeah, man, the system won't let me bring this rate up, and the service rep is not even going to answer the phone because it's still 2 days away. That's what he said. The system won't let me do what I want to do. In other words, he can't even manipulate, you know what, this guy's cool, this carrier's good. Let me throw this extra $100 on this load that we've got priced 10% lower than we normally do. I was on their same website when I was looking at a load, and I literally saw the number change to lower because I was staring at it too long. So this is what you're up against. And when you can't even complete sentences when you're calling on a load, or you call and say, hey, hi, this is so-and-so from so-and-so brokerage, and your first sentence is, what rate? Come on now. That's your competition. That's the good news about all this. It doesn't take much to outshine. You know, you don't have to be a diamond in a pile of coal. All you got to be is a shiny rock, and you're going to stand out. it's it's that easy. I'm telling you, it's that easy. Communicate, be professional, act like a business person, and even if it doesn't equate to a better rate, it at least gives the broker a positive impression to where if they hate posting on low boards, they're going to call you first. They're going to email you first. Hey, this guy completed a whole sentence on his email. I'm going to contact him first because I really don't want to deal with 20 phone calls off the DAP board. It's that simple. It's so simple, it's maddening that people can't do that. Anyways, I hope you got a good cup of coffee. I do. But on the other side of that, I literally had a broker say, hey, human connection is not important because I can't even get into the computer system to be able to give you the rate that I know that you deserve. And if you look at all the brokers that are going to their own websites, they're going to their own low boards, and they're getting away from spot boards. You know, now as a dispatch, I'm looking at 10, 20, 30 different sources now. Well, maybe not 30, but you should see my favorites, my bookmarks on my browser. If I want to look at a Werner load, I got to go to their website. If I want to book a Redwood load, I got to go to their website. If I want to do spot freight, I got to go to their website. If I want a CH load, I got to go to their site or their app. And 9 times out of 10, if I see a CH Robinson load or a Coyote load or an Uber load on the DAP board or on the 123 low board, guess what? It's because it's a bunch of crap. No one else wants it, so they're being desperate, but not desperate enough to throw the money at it. It's either got an all ball time, or it's got 20 stops that don't even make sense, or it's going to a really bad area, and they're having trouble moving it off their app. So, and then Uber's kind of in this weird spot where Transplace, they bought out Transplace. And so if you look and see an Uber load on a low board and it has a 479 number, that's Transplace. Those loads aren't on their app. But then you're dealing with the human element of, you know, because a lot of brokers are not answering their phone, they're not answering their email. You know, everybody's like complains about Pepsi Logistics being like that. Well, they're all becoming like that. I would say out of 10 phone calls, I might have 2 that answer the phone. And out of 10 emails, maybe 3 or 4, it's a little bit better ratio, will answer the email. Or when they do answer, it's like picks up at 8, delivers at 6, freight all kinds, $1,200. And then they reply, what rate? Not what rate do you need to be at, but what rate? What's the commodity? What's the weight? Who's the receiving customer? Freight all kinds is not an answer. FAC is not an answer. So while there's many unprofessional carriers, there's also many unprofessional brokers. So what I chalk it up to is you got to deal with the human nature. You got to deal with the human being. You got to deal with the brain of someone who's either stressed out, on the verge of losing their job, on the verge of losing their sanity. And every now and then you might get lucky and find the person that's got their act together. Every now and then you might find the person that enjoys their job despite market conditions, and they're very professional and well to work with. And you're like, "Hey, how about I keep this person's email or phone number or both?" And so when I see one of these BS loads on the load board that no one's answering their phone or email, I just call them or I just email them because they're the people that obviously do their work. Now I get it. If you've posted 10 loads on the DAP board and you've got all these phone calls, I get that. It's tough to answer all the phone calls. Or if you've just posted a load and within 5 minutes you got 10 phone calls, I get that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the emails that go unanswered and the phone calls that just ring and ring and ring. It don't even go to a voicemail. So, but that's the game, man. That's the game I signed up for. So I don't complain about it. Well, I might complain a little bit, but I'm not going to sit here with this victim mentality. These brokers are disrespectful. Well, then get out of the game of the brokers. These rates are horrible. Well, find a way to make better rates on a different platform. You have the power to change your destiny. There's your encouragement. You have the power. And you need the gift of discernment to know what you can change and what you cannot, what you need to adapt to, and what is just is. I'm gonna make a new T-shirt, a new coffee mug. It's as simple as that, because that's what it is. I don't care if you're a 20-year trucking veteran or a guy that just came out of CDL school. You have to have the gift of discernment of what you can control and what you can't. And guess what? If you can't control yourself, if you can't take the time to sit there and say, well, maybe I need to do something better, or maybe I need to have some willpower, or maybe I need to have some sense of morality, then you're doomed. Again, I don't care if you're fresh out of CDL school or you're a guy that's been driving since 1978. You got to be able to control yourself. You got to be able to. It's good to have emotions, but you got to learn how to control them. If a broker disrespects you, you politely say, "Hey, thanks for your time." Click, and then you don't call them again. It's as simple as that. If you were to go into a room of 100 people, are you going to get along with every single person in that room? No, because you have 100 different personalities, 100 different characteristics, 100 different ways that they've looked at and been brought up in life. And so when you got to make 20, 30 phone calls just to find the load to get you through the weekend, guess what? You're going to deal with 20 to 30 people. And if that doesn't sound great to you, then why are you in the spot market? Because I'm telling you, the click and goes have the computer, they have the data, they have all the stuff that's meant to go against you and profit them. And then you don't have a chance. If you're at Uber, you don't have a chance to stand out. All you do is click a button. Now, your score makes you stand out from everybody else. So if you have a negative score, then yeah, you stand out now. But now you're going against computer AI, and you're going against computer data, that they have with all the ELDs. Do you think the ELDs were about safety? No, they were about data. They were about information. They were about liability. They are about compliance. And speaking of compliance, you better have your truck in tip-top shape because they're putting more and more trucks out of service for mechanical defects. You know why? Because they know that drivers are not making their repairs, or they're letting things go a little bit longer because they can't afford tires, they can't afford brakes, they can't afford to change um, the hoses out. Well, that tire's got a little bit of wear. Well, let's let it go a little bit longer because I need to make like $500 this week. They know that, and so they're pulling the trucks in and they're creating more out of service. Ask me how I know. This is what you have going against you. And if you're a professional, good business person, then these are challenges that you're willing to accept, and then you charge head on and learn to discern the things that you can control and you can't control. You can't control the DOT cracking down on equipment, but you can control what goes on your equipment. Unless you're dealing with Schneider and a trailer pull, you still have a little bit of control. And if Schneider doesn't get the trailer situation fixed, then you find somewhere else to go. That's what Steve Berger did, who just released a video and he's revealed that he's at Like Trucking. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's going to be a bigger struggle in the next few weeks. And so this is your time. This is your time to become stronger. This is your time. Anybody can become stronger when all the rates are good and all the markets are on fire. Anybody can do that. But yet people still went out of business. Why? Because of themselves. They overextended themselves. They bought too much crap at home. They didn't save their money. Or maybe they did save their money. Maybe they saved 30 grand and they thought, man, I'm in pretty good shape. And then the truck said, no, I need 35 of that, please. Because you went through 4 or 5 shops that didn't know how to diagnose the problem. You can't control that. Not very well. So what do? You find a shop that you have a relationship with. Well, what if I break down the middle of Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I live in, Wisconsin? You're at the mercy of that shop. So how do you insulate yourself from that? That's the exposure that you have. These are all things that you have to think about. And most people are like, oh, dude, I got the keys to a new truck. Hell yeah, let's go. Then they wonder why they failed. And there's 2 kinds of failure. One is good, one is bad. One, the good one, is ones that you learn from. Hey, maybe I shouldn't have a $4,000 a month truck note. So if I decide to own a truck again, maybe I'm not going to go that route. The bad is, hey, I have a $4,000 a month truck note that I couldn't afford. I'm going to give the truck back. Oh, let me get into another one. Maybe it'll be different there. Maybe it'll be different this time. Next thing you know, 2 or 3 lease purchases later, you've got nothing to show for it except a broken home and a jaded heart. I guess I just got inspired. So these are the things that you need to think about. This is the game that you're in. And if you'd rather just get in a truck and drive with no worry, I admire that. Work for a good company that will treat you right, but you got to treat your company right as well. Most job hoppers have issues with themselves, not with the companies that they're at. And that bit of reality always gets people riled up. There are bad companies out there. Yes, there are. Absolutely. These guys out of CDL school, these guys and gals fresh out of CDL school, oh man, they're fresh meat for the bad companies to take advantage of these people. And then they wonder why they can't keep drivers. Well, because your company sucks. But if you get in with a good company that listens to you and is willing to tell you, hey, maybe you need to calm down and realize that this is just the way it is. How can we benefit each other? That's the people you want to partner with. Anyways, enough of that. Let's go to the comments here and do our shout outs. WCF Invader. Yay. Yay. This always makes for a start for a wonderful day, Dispatcher King. I don't feel like a Dispatcher King. I don't feel like anything other than a guy who keeps seeing a lot of people ruin their lives because they can't get their crap together. I almost cursed. South Mountain Pack Durham, what's up? Don Shonger, good morning. My name is Nobody. Good morning. Sean, Wingfoot bringing me 2 tires, York, PA. Sometimes I think no one post trips anymore. Wow, that's kind of what I was talking about, partially. No one does post trips anymore. One time I was doing a post trip, I was walking around, had the hood open. And this guy next to me goes, hey, man. I'm like, yeah. He goes, are you doing your post trip? I'm like, yeah. I thought I was the only one that did post trips. Props to you, sir. I'm like, well, thank you. And I'm just, it's bizarre. I mean, look, if it's pouring down rain or if it's 30 below zero, then yeah, you're going to do a little bit. I still do a walk around. I still try to see if things are okay. That's why you keep an umbrella in the truck. CDM Freight Broker, top of the morning, Steve. Happy Friday. We had a great conversation the other day, Canadian Freight Broker and I. TK, hey now. Awesome sunrise happening here in Colorado. Good deal. Is it snowing there? I thought I saw somewhere it's going to be snowing. Gen Z, 3-day a week, 4,500 gross, but spent $1,000 on fuel. Wish we could see $3 a gallon again. That would be lovely. I think that would alleviate a lot of the struggles right now. But that's for 3 days, dude. That's not bad. CB from Tennessee. What's up? Renato, what's up? I hope I got that right. Todd Norris, here I am. Here I am. Dun-dun, dun-dun. Truckers Education Network, i.e. Jeffrey Like. Fuel is on the decline. Let's hope it keeps going down. That would be great. Steve, if I could be of any help brokering your load, let me know. Remember, we have a big carrier database, and I have a keen eye for selecting carriers. That would be wonderful because it's a good possibility this load might go south. I'll just be honest. CN saying hi to Jeff. Jeff saying hi to Rob. Jose, that's AI technology for you. Yes, that's in regards to the comment I made 10 minutes ago about the click and goes and all that. Or that wouldn't work couldn't do anything from his system. I'm expanding your YouTube demographic. My eldest child is watching. I'm glad I did not curse then. I'm stuck in Louisville, Kentucky. GE plant can unload because my side of the building is closed for Veterans Day. Ouch. Yeah, Veterans Day is Saturday. So yeah, that's a tough gig, man. Steve, that means you are dealing with an operation person, not the account manager. Seems someone at that brokerage is dictating the rate. That does not happen at my brokerage. And I get that. There's different. That's the thing. Different brokerages are structured differently. And the bigger the brokerage, the more hands you got to go through. And the more that they're all about numbers and analytics versus personal relationships. Now, the agent that I work with might have a personal relationship with me, but his hands are tied based off of what his company will let him do. So, and that's normal. That's normal. So, just learning to recognize that. So I don't get mad at my rep because I realize that if he can, he will. There's one point where I asked for 2,400 on a load, and he calls me. I go, dude, I got you 25. Really? He goes, yeah, I asked for 25 for my person, and they took it. I'm like, because I knew that they were probably going to go down to 24. So they're negotiating with their people as well. So that's the difference. The smaller brokers, you're probably dealing with the person that deals with the direct customer. So it's a little bit easier to deal with that. The simpler it is, the easier it is. Well, maybe not easier, but the simpler, the more clear it is. So cops are more likely to give a warning if you're pleasant. Brokers are more likely to work professional owner operators that are pleasant and responsive, especially a good communicator. Absolutely. TK, I have trouble taking some of them seriously when they offer 1,100 on a load that should pay about 2,000. For example, if I ask for 29, they probably insult me and hang up. Well, knowing your market value, TK, is important. In that word should, that whole phrase, that should pay about 2,000, for example. I've used that term myself, but all the shoulds are thrown out the window. That's why I hate that word, because what it does is it doesn't allow a person to progress forward. I don't know why it's not working. It should. Okay, but it's not. So we need to get over that should and let's fix it. Right? So if it should be quote unquote 2,000 and they're only offering 1,100, ask, hey, normally these are around 2,000. Number one, why should it pay 2,000? Is it because of the cost? Is it because of the tolls? Is it because that's what you need? Or is it something that you've done in the past for 2,000 and it's now at 1,100? If that's the case, what you do is you say, hey, I used to do these for about 2,000. What happened? I know the market's come down. I know that you have pressure from your bosses to lower the cost of shipping, but I also have pressure from my bosses, i.e., yourself. You don't have to let them know that, to keep my profit margin as much as I can because of my cost. So help me understand why it's not near 2,000. And if they hang up on you, then he didn't want to deal with that person. If they go, I don't know, then maybe you don't want to deal with that person. But if they go, well, market conditions and we do this and we process this and the customer says this and that and the other, so I can probably do about 16 on it, then it's up to you to take that for 16 or not. And just understand, hey, if I'm in this area and the loads went down, that's like a lot. I don't even know the math. What percentage is 1,100 out of 2,000? That is a huge decrease, and I've seen that locally myself. Loads that used to pay me $1,200-$1,300 are now barely $600 and $700. And try to understand why. If it's just market conditions, you're like, okay, well, that's a little bit more extreme. I understand that rates are down. And if you have historical data, like you've done that load before, say, well, in October it was at 2,000, or in December of last year it was at 2,000. So everything else is only down by 10, 20%. So this should be around 16, 18. Is this what the customer's doing? And if they don't want to get into the minutia, if they don't want to get into that conversation, then just move on. And just like, well, that sucks because I really like that load I used to do. WCF and Vader and I have been dealing with that quite a bit lately. But see, the AI pricing is saying, wow, there's 1,000 loads coming out of Columbus and only 500 trucks. So the rates should be good coming out of Ohio. So guess what? I'm not going to pay you squat to go into Ohio. We see it all the time with California. And FreightWaves has talked about it. They drive the rates down so low of going into an area that no one will go into the area anymore. So guess what? Now they have to up the rates to people to go in because they can't get anybody in because they're making such good money coming out. And the AI pricing and the analytics and the data from your ELDs, from your macro points, from your forkites, All of that is telling them, hey, you know what? We can drive this price down because loads out of Ohio are through the roof. It's a hot market right now. Washington State. You never went to Washington State from the Midwest for less than $5,000. And every now and then you flirt with a couple of 45s and 48s, but now they're barely paying $3,000. You know why? Because the market in Washington State is through the roof coming out. Why? Because of Christmas trees and because of some port activity. So guess what? They're not paying you to go in there now. And I'm seeing that all over the place. They're paying really good to go to Georgia. You want to break $2 a mile out of Missouri, you got to go to Georgia. You got to go to Florida. You got to go to Massachusetts. You got to go to Maine. Why? Because there's nothing coming out of there. But if you want to take a load from Missouri to Ohio, you're not breaking $2 a mile in van. And if you are, you're lucky, or it's got multiple stops. That's what I'm seeing. That's what you have to deal with. These are the things that you have to take the time to understand and realize so you can be beneficial for your truck and for your business. So that's what I recommend, TK. Find out why it's only $1,100 on a lane that you think pays $2,000. And if you do ask for $2,900, if you look, I was on the phone with the broker one time. I had a client call and say, Steve, I've got an empty truck in Indy. He needs to be in Denver by Monday. And this is like Friday afternoon. I'm like, holy crap. So challenge accepted. So I found the load. And as I'm on the phone with the broker, I could hear the other phone conversation. It sounded like one of them Indian call centers. And I heard one guy yelling because she put me on hold to see if she can get my rate. And as I'm sitting there listening to the other conversations, I hear this guy go, driver, you need to tell me why you're asking for $1,000 over the 30-day average. And he was yelling at this driver. He was yelling at the top of his lungs. I heard the conversation. Very disrespectful, very unprofessional. But at the same time, his emotions were high because the driver was telling him $1,000 more than what the lane market value was and didn't have a way to verify why he was asking for that amount of money. Now the chick comes back. Yeah, we ain't budging. It was my only option. I had to take it. Now it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like something to write home and brag about because it was Friday afternoon and it was one of only 3 loads going to Denver out of Indianapolis. I didn't let her know that that was the story. I was just like, hey, I'd like to go to Denver, get a high rate. And while it was higher than everything else, my options were limited. What are you going to do? I was told to do something and I did it. Meanwhile, I'm listening to the other broker, obviously in the desk next to her, having a fit over a driver that's asking for $1,000 over what the lane market value was, which obviously they weren't even paying that. So yeah. So if you're going to ask for $2,900 on an $1,100 load, you better have some numbers ready. You better have some. We've got ELD tracking. I'll be a tracker. I speak clear and concise English. I will give you check calls. I will email you every 6 hours of my location. Sell yourself. Hell, even send them a picture of your pretty truck. Will that help? I don't know. But you know what? It'll make you at least now if the broker still hangs up on you, then you don't want to deal with that person anyways. And if you had a relationship with that broker, they're not going to do it. They're just going to laugh like, dude, man, what are you doing? I can't give you 29. You know that. And it's going to be a friendly banter. But most of the time, if you're constantly asking for that much more to a broker, they're eventually not even going to answer your phone call. So, a couple of tips for you. I'm here, start over, says Randy from Mobile, Alabama. Steve, sorry, but I never reveal the shipper consignee name. I have selected the carrier. I will tell you shipper and consignee procedures, if a warehouse, dock appointments, there are just no names. It's important in the van world to know and I understand that, right? So if it's like, I want to make sure I'm not going to a certain grocery warehouse or a CVS or a Walgreens or Kroger. I want to know that I'm going into that because I want to make decisions based off of that. And if they can at least say it's a food distribution warehouse, I will ask, well, what are the average unload times? And if they can't tell me, then, or they don't want to tell me, then I know that there's an issue there. So I avoid it. Flatbed Trucker, what's up? Good morning. Jerome, well, let's hope fuel keeps going down because my OnlyFans girls are struggling. Why I don't give out shipper consignee name to prevent unqualified carriers that have an extra knowledge that I spent months to secure that customer. Protect your customers' consignees from bad actors. How does Uber, like like CH, Uber, Convoy, JB Hunt, if you got a good score, not Convoy, Coyote, they show the customers' names. And that's one of the benefits of using the click and goes is you can at least see the customer name without having to pry. How do they get away with that? That's an interesting question, I think. You mean don't tell them off like all the other pitchfork truckers out here because you know they don't know anything in blacklist. Look, here's the thing. What people need to understand is that when you have a big group of people under a lot of stress, emotions are going to run rampant. This is the reality, right? Drivers are stressed, and maybe it was just that one broker's tone of voice that sets them over the edge. I get it. Okay? As a driver, I get it. Emotions are high, fraud is through the roof, stress is through the roof, repossessions are through the roof, credit debt's through the roof. So everybody's on this level of energy that's sometimes very difficult to manage. And so using the term pitchfork truckers, I think is a negative. Well, it is a negative thing because it's well, these are just people that are just being lame. Well, no, there's a human element. If look, as an administrator of a company, of a carrier, you're dealing with drivers. You're dealing with human emotions. If you have 10 drivers, you're dealing with 10 different personalities, 10 different ways that they've been brought up, 10 different ways of how they're handling their business, 10 different ways of what their mindsets are. And if you disregard all of that, then you're no better than the people that is complained about. You have to take the human element into these guys think, oh, I'm going to have 2 or 3 trucks and put people in them. Okay, that's a great plan. Mathematically, it might work. You might have resources to make it work mathematically, and you might have a great platform to make that work mathematically. But do you have the ability, the gift of discernment to know who's worthy of your truck and who's not? And also, do you have the ability to make sure to do background checks to make sure that these people haven't lost their mind somewhere else? That's important because the last thing you want to do is put somebody in your truck that's going to burn you, right? And now if you put in a solid person and they get angry at you, find out why they're angry. Why are they stressed out? What's not working? You don't have to kiss their ass, but you can figure out what's making them tick. What makes them tick? Okay, this person tends to be over emotional when he's talking to certain brokers. I probably won't put him on a TQL load, right? That kind of thing. If I can help it. Sometimes you can't help it. Okay, this person does a horrible job of of pre-planning and time management. So let me help them and understand why maybe they didn't have to worry about hours of service. Maybe they're new at it. Maybe they just don't understand the mathematics. So help them understand and guide them. That's how you dissipate turnover. Have time to talk to your drivers as human beings to see what makes them tick. And you should be doing that before you put them in a truck. And then if let's say they burn you anyways because they checked off the right boxes and knew the right things to say, then you go, well, okay, where did I go wrong to allow this person to hurt my business? And analyze why they did that. Well, maybe they got something going at home. Maybe you said something that insulted them and you didn't realize it and they didn't communicate with you that you had done that. Or maybe they're good for a month and then they just lose their minds. Maybe they're overstressed. Maybe their credit shot. And so they can't afford even a sandwich. Find out, okay, well, why is your credit shot? Let's see. Let's help you get into a situation where you're not having to work paycheck to paycheck. Let's help you out here and find the root of the problem. It takes time to develop that. You can't just you're not Swift. You can't just put 20 meat in a seat and then hope for the best and then pay for the damages as it happens. Small carriers don't have that kind of budget. And that's what should be better about the small carrier versus the large carrier is that you can take the human element and embrace it, whereas the others, you're just meat in a seat. You're just numbers on a dispatcher's computer. Basically, simple business practices, right? Night Ranger. Good morning from Likely, California. That's likely. I got to be professional and do repairs. I guess you want me to drive too, slave driver. I knew this would be a good feed as soon as he said, this will be short. I'm not inspired. Yeah. Maybe it's the coffee. Maybe it kicked in finally. Chief Freight Hauler, anybody expanding or considering expanding in the next year? Yes, our carrier has grown quite a bit despite the freight market conditions. And I did not predict that. So kudos to Jeff and our contractors here because we've been dealing with growing pains. And so it is possible. But recognizing what's along the landscape is going to be important for everybody. So if you're expanding, make sure you keep your exposure down as little as possible, just in case things don't, go the way that you think they will. Don't put yourself in a position where you've got $500,000 in debt with no contractors. So, Truck with T-Bone, good morning. Jackknife, I don't know. I call out certain companies or CDL schools. I get bombarded with hate. Some of these newer guys are in a cult like. They think everyone should make it no matter what. Sometimes it's the delivery of the message. If you get on YouTube and say, this CDL school, ABC CDL school is the most horrible place ever. I know 3 guys that got burned, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of hate. But if you go, hey, man, there's some local CDL schools near me here in Pennsylvania that have some issues, and just be aware of these issues and obstacles. Just be aware of that. What that does is it makes you look more professional. And while because it's not as confrontational, you keep the emotions out of it, and you're less likely to get people. Now, if people are raging lunatic hatred after you after that kind of delivery, then yeah, they're raging lunatics, and so you can't even take them seriously. But you can't spout out anger without getting anger back, because people are easily offended. People care way too much of what other people think about them. And if they have a system that's working and they feel offended that you're going out of your way to insult a system that's working for them, then that doesn't help. Arguing on the internet is one of the most useless things ever. Really. If someone does a video right now, Steve doesn't know what he's talking about. Snorelord's an idiot. He's very unsuccessful. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I don't care. You know why? Because if that person's saying that from a place of hate, if that person is saying that from a place of pain, I'll say a prayer for them. Because obviously they're struggling. Because successful, happy, or at least content people don't go on the internet and attack other people. That's the reality. And so if somebody's going to yell at me out of a place of pain, my grace says, hey, you know what? You're in a painful place, man. I get it. I probably don't look good to you right now. So go ahead and make fun of my beard. Go ahead and make fun of my death metal t-shirts. Go ahead and make fun of the fact that I don't have a truck. Go ahead, because I know where I stand. I'm confident of where I am. And so if I came across your channel and you're going off about a CDL school, I'm going to be like, okay, click. I don't care. Do I know the challenges of and the the issues with CDL schools? Absolutely. It took me a lot of research to find a good one for myself. And if my son came up to me and said, hey, I want to be a truck driver, I'm like, well, let's find you a good CDL school that I have confidence in, because I'm already aware of this. But it doesn't do my channel or me any good to sit there and insult a CDL school. But if someone, hey, what do you think of CDL school? I'm like, well, here are the challenges and here's what you got to look for. And then privately, I might say avoid that particular company. Privately, without anger, without malicious intent. It's all about delivery. Your truck drivers, deliver correctly, deliver appropriately. Mr. Charles, good morning. Fuel is trading up for today. Looks like we're going down all week, then up on Friday trend. Steve, eventually ask if your agent would set up a conference call with the account manager or decision maker. That's a great idea, but it's a one-off load, and things are going, because by the time you get that done, somebody else has already booked it. Drivers are undercutting each other massively. If you look at JB Hunt, this is not a knock against JB Hunt, but it's a great place to see this. JB Hunt historically has low rates for their book now price, usually about 20% of the lane value. Okay. Now, the great thing about JB Hunt is if you have some emails or if it's a load you've done in the past, you can contact them directly. But they will usually go, well, the system's not letting us do this, that, and the other. But then you look at the lowest bid, and it's still lower than what the market value is. So it's not even worth bidding on. So guess what? That shows me that the drivers are undercutting each other. So by the time I get a conference call with someone that could give two rats butts about me, that load is already gone from someone who's just going to click on the book now price and go. So that's a great idea in a bigger picture, but when you've made 20 phone calls and no one's answering the phone and no one's answering the emails, or when they do, it's a horrible rate or it's a horrible situation, that kind of thing. The last thing that a rep's going to do, because they're under the same kind of pressure, is to do that. You got to realize, CDN, and I've told you this before, that there are so many brokers that aren't as professional as you. So just kind of keep that in mind. Things are happening so fast. Like, I was on the phone with the driver yesterday. We were kind of looking at stuff, and before we could call, before we could book, hit the book now, the load was gone. They were disappearing fast. Like, even if you thought just for a second, like, well, you say, okay, let's do the miles. Okay, the mile rate per mile is about this, and I should be empty about 2, and then I do this, and the load's gone. Damn it. And that's the reality. While TK is having the conversation of why the guy's not paying $2,000 on an $1,100 load, somebody's taking it for $1,100. I forgot to mention that in TK's story. And if no one's taking it for $1,100, there's probably something wrong with it. That's the thing. Like the time that I had to get a truck out of Indianapolis, I have one of 3 choices, so I took the best one at the rate that they wanted, that the broker wanted, not that I wanted. But I knew that the freight that guy was going to get out of Denver with his direct customer that he worked very hard to get was going to more than make up for what we got in there. Would I have done it with one of my trucks that was going to have to get spot market out? No. But each situation's different. So let's say there was a person on the phone at the same time with another broker. That might have been what that argument was. Maybe that person was asking for 3,500 and I'm sitting here trying to get 2,500 and they had it priced at 23. I don't remember the numbers. That's what it seemed like. But because I was presentable and I needed the load, that guy got undercut. Why? Because he had priced himself too high and couldn't explain why his price was so high. But see, when you go to the click and goes, Uber's doing it now. Uber's doing the lowest bid right now. They want you to undercut each other. That's how you get costs down. If you have a McDonald's and a Burger King on the same corner, for all the people that think their food's equal, which, it's all trash, and they're on a budget, guess what? They're going to go to the cheapest. Oh, we can get 2 for 1 here, but this one's got 3 for 1. Well, I'm going to go to the 3 for 1. So, so yeah, by the time you're doing all this stuff, it's gone because somebody desperate, more desperate than you, or has a bigger or quicker agenda than you is taking it. Shipper often sets the budget. Can you go into a truck stop and fuel be about $2.75 a gallon? Same at the grocery store. Ground beef should be $4. Storno says I paid driver $4 a mile to deliver. Truckers Education Network. Jeff says, Mrs. A, you're preaching the truth. Mrs. A knows me. She's getting ready to take the cat to the vet. If you're an owner operator, your cost per mile should be under $1 a mile. Should equals perspective from one person. Sorry, just saying reality. Yes, that's the problem with should. Tyke trucking. I'm depressed that I had a tooth snap in half. Ouch. Had to beg off my run. 400. Is that pounds? Forgive me, I don't know European or euros. Would it be euros or pounds? And dentist bills and 400 in lost wages. Yeah, that hurts. Insult to injury, right? Take care. I have trouble with my teeth as well, so I hear you. TK, let them insult you and hang up. You shouldn't want to do business with someone like that because it proves they are unprofessional. There you go. Let's see. Steve, I just posted a rate con. I accidentally got emailed. It was paying $4, 4,500 from Dillonsburg, Tennessee to Washington State for transformer tarp load. Okay, but that's more of a specialty thing. That's not a generic dry van load. And so, yeah, that's at 45. So the Northwest has been hot for flatbed for a while. We've shown that on the 123 low board. So, just buying breakfast, everyone to Michigan. I'm talking at current market. I'm more pointing out they'll offer 75% off market rate, let's say, but then they'll think it's totally absurd if you ask for 25% more. And that's the emotional aspect that you're dealing with, TK. And I get that, dude. I get it, man. Like I said, I've watched $1,300 loads go down to $550, $650 locally around here. And just asking for 800 is like, really? So I get it, dude. And it's frustrating. I know, especially with the truck you have, it's very frustrating because I know what you're dealing with, and I get it. It's tough right now. It's tough, and so it's really important to try not to let the emotions get into it, because that's where we say and do things that we will regret later. Gen Z, I found out my local fuel stop started raising prices on Wednesday through Friday, so I try to fill up more on Monday, Tuesday. If you have a local stop you like, start tracking the changes and find a trend. There you go, Gen Z. That's what everybody should be doing on everything, not just fuel, on rates, on market conditions, everything. That's beautiful, beautiful. Randy, yes, but no one's in Michigan. Yeah, everybody's out in Georgia and Florida. Tolga, what's up? Tyke, it's called the free market. The rates will go up when nobody will run for shite, sorry. If you have to run, they've got you by the short and curlies. That is true. Like trucking at Matt's. Human factor is the hardest part to predict for sure. Absolutely, Tolga. TK, my pro tip is to not call brokers offering rates way below what you believe a lane should pay. If you were to broker a few loads, you would quickly find out there isn't as much wiggle room per load. And that's the thing. Like sometimes I'll email a broker and they email this, like, especially in a bad market. Like if you email any broker in Florida with the load coming out of Florida, they're going to go, this rate firm. Firm. When I see the word firm, I'm like, I'm out. Because they're not even open to the conversation. Now, I did get a rate up out of Florida yesterday, or the couple, Wednesday. And I used this line. And that line works usually. That'll be for members only. Cool Trucking, what's up? And I've mentioned in the past, it's out of that Chris Voss book that DIY and I did a report off of. And I mentioned earlier this morning, so you have to go back to the replay to figure out what I said. Most brokers and drivers will tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. Trust but verify. There you go. Trust but verify is important. Does losing your mind mean asking someone if he needs his corridor redecorating and then threatening to decorate it with him? It depends. Steve, why Click and Go reveals shipper and consignee is because you have to be set up as an authorized carrier. You signed an NDA and agreed to no double brokering. Low boards have unapproved carriers calling you. Okay. Thank you for that answer. I did not know. Pale Rider TV, what's up? I suspect Jeff is expanding because of the free advertising social media brings. Yeah, I mean, it's not from, look, he hasn't done that much YouTube, so it's not coming from his YouTube channel. It's coming from our drivers getting on Facebook and trying to help people out that are struggling with their companies. Come on, what it says to actively seek out a good long-term contract is to help ensure the success of any carrier. That is true. Shannon says, woohoo, good morning, everyone from the Buckeye State. Very good. Tyke says, if you can make it through 24, I think 25 will be sweet. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it will. Because what 24 is going to election year. And with all the division and political climate right now, it's going to be the most volatile, violent, and most dividing election we have ever faced in this country. Mark my words. Mark my words. Okay? Keep an eye on that. All right. It sucks about your tooth is a reminder that owner operators, 100% commission based brokers, we need emergency funds to offset the unknown situations that can cause you to lose wages. Absolutely. Like Trucking is expanding because it's a good company to be at. Run your company for what it's right for you. Jeff and Steve and drivers are developing lines for the benefit of the fleet. We are trying. I always like Snorelord live shows because they're thoughtful and positive. Come on with it. Thank you. Other people say I'm depressing and I'm an idiot. It's all in the eye of the beholder, which is a great Metallica song, by the way. I will witness. Snorelord knows what he's doing, and he knows what I'm doing, which is important to our team. No doubt, Professor. You'll be criticized by someone doing more than you. Only be criticized by someone doing more than you. Only by those doing less than you. Yes. You can always fly out to the Middle East, buy a truck, and haul for the U.S. Army when all kicks off, $100,000 a month. You know, Tyke, I know a person that was going to get into that. He went into another field, but that's what he's a contractor in the Middle East that does stuff. You're making good money, but I think he's miserable. So, Chief Freight never. Okay, so let's go back. You'll never be criticized by someone doing more than you, only by those doing less than you. That is true. I don't know. Sometimes people are privately like, I'm doing more than so and so. Oh, you only booked $6,000 worth of freight for your truck? I booked 8. Ha! Okay. Good for you. If you're a good broker to the customer, they will know someone's trying to backdoor you. Or if I lose a lane shortly after dealing with you, I can ask my customer and figure you backdoor my customer. That is true. I hate people that talk good about JB Hunt 360 with a passion. LOL. Well, more like dislike, but still. Last load, 1 pallet, 3 boxes, 228 pounds. Those are awesome. I once did a load to Phoenix that was literally 1,000 pounds. It was 2 skids of cardboard cutouts for Subway. It was awesome. Awesome fuel mileage. Awesome running through the desert. It was a killer load. My son was on me on that load. We picked up in the caves. He was all excited. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into this WCF Invader CDN conversation. It's probably a great conversation, but in it's a free market. May the best man, woman win, right? Watch out for IEDs on the side of the road and the little bastards with rocket launchers. My pal and I drove on with tankers, went to Iraq and hauled for the American Army. Wow. So you got some serious chops then. Excellent. If you don't respect the NDA, do not enter the spot market. Go get your own direct customers. As I keep saying, it's super easy. Okay, you guys are still talking about that. Okay. According to Jackknife says, according to the American Research Institute, the average to run a truck with the $1.85 was $1.85 in 2020 and is now between $2.21 and $2.35 because people go out and buy new trucks that they can't afford. That's what part of that. But also the repairs are like 40% higher. Tolls are 30% higher. Fuel is definitely 40 to 60% higher. So yeah, of course it's changed from 2021. And we were all making raging cash in 2020, and they thought, man, how can we get a piece of that? And they have. They are subjective, because I know people that were close to $3 a mile cost back in 21 because they didn't have their stuff right. The guy behind him in the convoy got hit by a rocket launcher, lived but lost both his legs from the knees down. Wow, that's crazy. And here we are griping about people standing in the fuel island. You got to deal with that, right? I'd be curious for you to come over here in America and run run our roads and stuff, and what you thought of American truck drivers. I'd be curious to see that. When brokers realize I will pull cheap freight for free tacos, I'm in deep trouble. There you go. All right. He lost his front teeth from shrapnel in the dash when a car came past and a machine gun opened up fire. He's like, "There's blood everywhere. Where's the hole in my teeth?" Look, WCF Invader and CDN have a great conversation going on. I won't get into it because I got to keep this kind of shorter, even though we've been at this for an hour and 11 minutes. These things in today's market will not change. Intel market influence politically changed. To deny that the party is at the top is the cause of bad economy is sticking your head in the sand. I agree with that. I think there's a deeper problem than just who's at the head of the snake. I believe people who are successful in business have read several books about business. That is true. That is true. Agco, what's up? Thanks, CDN. Also, thank you for not taking things I say personally. You are an in-depth wealth of knowledge. I appreciate learning from you. CDN was telling me that he's going to be putting up a video soon. I told him he needs to do it at 3 a.m. when everybody's asleep and his phone won't ring, and do like 10 videos. So, hi everybody. Have a great Friday. Thank you with both feet. ATRI says full same price in 22 as 2013. Says fuel price same price as 22 as in 2013. Dispatch companies are now telling me they can guarantee 5K weeks. I miss when they promised 12K weeks. Yeah, that's funny. Thanks for the super chat, Sterling. It's funny when the dispatch service calls me, like, you just realized you called another one, right? What are you promising? Okay, thanks. Bye. Click. I don't promise nothing. I promise to help you find a load. That's it. Help maybe manage your time. Maybe kind of help you get your expenses in order. But I don't sit there like, I can get you $10,000 a week. Or better yet, I don't sit there and promise you 5% more than what you're making now, and then realize that's what I charge. That's insane. I haven't had time to video yet, but well, you got to do it at 3 a.m, CDN. It's just all there is to it. You got to get up early and stretch and get in the mindset and make sure your phones are still muted because you still might get a call and you're good to go. So, anyways, we've been at this for an hour. Let's do the load availability real quick. Let's see, share screen. 48065 is my code. If you want to check out the 123 low board, go to 123lowboard.com. And hey, Sterling knows how to support the channel. Be like Sterling. So, anyways, I appreciate everybody's support. Let's see. Let's take a look at Van here. If you like my videos or if they make you angry, especially if they make you angry, please give me a lot of super chats. I want to see an angry super chat someday. All right. So This is for van, California, Arizona. That's tough going in now. They're not paying really to go in because of these numbers. So just be aware of that. Same thing with um, the Southeast. They know that the numbers are against you. So they're paying really good to come in here, but they're not paying really great to go in here. So just be aware of that. Just because they're green doesn't mean that it equates to great rates. It just means that you might have a little bit easier time finding a load. Now, with Florida, there's plenty of loads, but not plenty, but there's at least some, but your selections are limited, especially on quality. So just be aware of that if you go down there. The problem with Arizona is they're not paying to go in, and it's tough getting a good rate coming out. So just be aware of that. Volumes are great, but they're still going with Arizona pricing. So, but I did notice about a 20% bump up from regular rates. We noticed that on Wednesday when I did this. Okay, so let's take a look at reefer. Reefer's going to be. It's showing Washington, Idaho, and Utah. Let's take a look, see what we can see if we can see what products are coming out of Washington. 4150 to go from Quincy to Baldwin, Wisconsin. That is almost double of what it was just last summer. So there are some areas that there's great rates coming out. 5200 to go to Bridgeton, Missouri. Here's your load. Let's take a look at this. Picks up today, delivers Monday at 2100 miles. Um, it's at 52 instead of 47, so that means the market's been on an upswing. It's not telling me the product, so I'd be curious. Hey, if you're morbidly curious, call. Hey, what's the product on this? Oh, okay. Is there a lot of that being shipped right now? Oh, okay, cool. Not a whole lot of. Post this by highest rate here. See where the longer stuff's going. Ooh, 8,500 to go to New Jersey. Look at that. $3 a mile. Let's take a look at that one. And that's load smart. Generally, they're below market average. Multiple stops. There you go. But still, that's 1,500 more than what Cargo Chief is showing. Wine. So yeah, you got to have some. You got to check your stuff for that. So you're more likely you're going to go to small alcohol distributors, which can be a bear, especially in New Jersey, to deliver. I once had to do that. I once had to do multiple deliveries. One was in Pittsburgh at a small distributor. That was fun to back into. And then one was in College Station, Pennsylvania. That was even more fun. It was awesome. My student that I had on the truck with me got a great lesson of not trusting the GPS 100% on that trip. I remember that. Lot of good paying loads out of Washington. Check this out: 7,700, 7,700, 287, 243, 262, $3 a mile, 303. See, I like this Othello to Front Royal because very little tolls on that run. So let's take a look at that. See if there's any tolls. Picks up at 9:30 today, so it's almost crunch time for that. Delivering on Wednesday next week. 419 toll costs. Wow. Okay. So there's that. So it's probably this stretch right here. So let's see. Hammond, Louisiana for $3 a mile. So yeah, Washington's a good spot to be in, to land in on a Friday this week. Next week, who knows what it'll do. So let's take a look at flatbed and step deck. Flatbed and step deck. We'll throw them both together. Pacific Northwest and Idaho's lit up. Montana's yellow. Normally that's red. Minnesota's yellow. Arizona's yellow. Let's see what's coming out of Montana on the flatbed world. 243 a mile, 4,200 to go from Montana to Michigan. That's on the highest rate. That's the highest long load, long haul, long load. If we do highest rate per mile, I don't think there's much difference here on this one. Oh, 368 a mile, 1,400. So there's some short haul in there. Idaho, you can go to Calgary and visit them Canadians. But is this enough to get you through the weekend? Probably not. Unless you're going home. So, or you need a restart. And then the rest of these are like not even $1,000 a day. So 249 a mile to go from Belt, Montana to Jackson, Wyoming. So from the frying pan into the fire kind of a deal. So, but anyways, let's finish these comments. My kid just figured out that coming with me isn't a reward, but rather a punishment. This is boring. He keeps saying, oh, man, my kid loved riding in the truck with me. Well, I take that back. My son loved it. My daughter did not. She was okay with it, but like after about 12 hours, she was like over it. In respect to the waiting game, not the video. I know. I haven't put out any videos. My voice is so screwed up. Whatever I got, it's 10 times worse than that COVID, says Jackknife. Do not be like Sterling. Dislike, unsubscribe, 420. Thank you. So's pal, my super chat is not allowed. Oh, okay. Well, that's weird. Yeah, 8 stops. Super Valley in Mechanicsville, Virginia. You'll be there 15 hours. Food Lion, Richmond, 10 hours, etc. 53 Reefer, Hawaii to Alaska. I was responding to Sterling. Oh, okay. All right. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Hopefully you've had a good week, and hopefully next week will be better for you. We're getting into holiday time here pretty soon. You've got one full good week of running before Thanksgiving hits, and make your plans, and keep an eye on market conditions to see if it'll be worth it to stay out for Thanksgiving. And just realize that as more and more drivers do not celebrate Thanksgiving, you have less and less leverage to say, hey, I'll do this only because I'm working through Thanksgiving, so I need a higher rate. Now, truck capacity should go down during the week of Thanksgiving, and it's also the most treacherous time to travel. You have a lot of people on the interstate that normally don't travel the interstate, but once or twice a year. That was always the worst part about Thanksgiving running, is that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's a lot of traffic, but the truck stops are empty. So that's kind of nice. And the people that are on the highway are not paying attention. They're stressed out. They're dealing with family members that they don't want to deal with because there's a lack of love in the world. So, but with that being said, thanks for watching. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Aggression turns to screws. Don't be a butthead. Peace. Oh, and subscribe to my other channel, Snorelord OG. Peace.